Bright lights, bright lights. Hi and welcome to this week's Bright Lights of Roslyn Hill Unitarian Church, Hampstead. If you have a candle, now is a fantastic time to light it with your family. We are the chapel of the open mind, the loving heart and the helping hands. If you have a chance now, please press the pause to reflect button and share your joys and concerns for this week with your family. So we're in May, and it's right at the beginning of May. It's the bank holiday weekend, and you can probably see just behind me here the spring blossom outside the window on the apple trees. How beautiful is that? And we're celebrating Beltane, which is in the Celtic tradition or the pagan tradition, the wheel of the year. We're going into the summer months, and the sun has come out later for me just now. Feels lovely. So I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. And the theme for this month is, drumroll please, it is all about stories. How cool is that? That's like the coolest theme ever. What's your favourite story? Do you have a favourite story? Are you reading a particular story at the minute? What is the story of your family and how you came to be about? Maybe even a story between friends. What's your favourites? Maybe your teacher reads to you, maybe you read to your mum and dad, maybe your mum and dad read to you. I would love to know what your favourite stories are and why you love them so much. Sometimes things happen to our story in our lives and they change things forever. And we never know when these coincidences, these chance happenings can really influence us. For instance, when your mum and dad met, that changed everything and it meant that you became a family. That's fantastic. What does that mean for us as Unitarians? What do we feel when suddenly something fantastic happens in our lives just by chance? Suddenly, we weren't expecting it. What is that synchronicity, we call that? What can we put that down to? It's just a lovely, lovely thing, isn't it? But is there a reason why these things happen? Can we pray for them to happen? Can we give thanks for when things work out for us and things happen? It sort of feels like to our advantage. And things come together in a certain way. Well, I've got a story here which is all about that, called John Murray and the Winds of Change. And it's part of the Soul Matters Creating Home series. And it goes a little bit like this. You never know what the wind will blow in or which way the wind blows. The wind can change directions and maybe change your life story. It happened to someone called John Murray. Now, as a young man, John Murray had excellent fortune blow his way. He had a fine education, a steady job, a loving wife, and a young son. Life was good. But then, suddenly, everything changed. John Murray's wife and their son became really sick, and they got so sick they died. John lost his job, he lost all his money, and he was put in jail because he could not pay his bills. Now, John was a very religious man. He was a Universalist Unitarian who had even preached about a loving God. Now, when all these bad things happened to him in his own story, he was not so sure what he believed. He felt his life was over. Friends around him urged him to go someplace where he could start again. So, what do you think he did? Well, he sailed for America on a ship named the Hand in Hand. The wind blew the ship towards their destination of New York. But then fog rolled in and the ship ran aground in New Jersey instead. John and a few others volunteered to leave the ship, go on land and get directions and supplies. As he was walking ashore, John saw a farmhouse with a small chapel or church beside it. It belonged to Thomas Potter. Thomas Potter greeted John, gave him food for everyone on the ship, and invited John to come back and have dinner with him that night. Now, when John came back, Thomas Potter showed him the chapel. Thomas Potter said that he believed in a loving God who wanted to accept all people into heaven. John said that he believed the same thing. And Thomas Potter told John that he had built the chapel and was waiting for God to send him a minister. And he said some very special words to this man who'd come off the boat. He said, "You, John, are that minister. I have waited for you for a long time." Now, what do you think John felt? If someone said that to you, you'd say, what would you say? Now, but John has gone through all these bad things, hasn't he? And he's not sure he believes. So it says in the story that John did not want to hear this. He was not a preacher anymore, and he was determined never to preach again, he decided already. Yet Thomas Potter seemed confident that John was the Universalist preacher he waited for, and he asked John to preach on Sunday. "Oh, I can't preach on Sunday," said John, "because as soon as the wind changes, my boat will set sail and I must be on it." "If the boat has not sailed by Sunday, will you preach?" asked Thomas Potter. "If I am still here on Sunday, I will preach," said John Murray. Now, what do you think happened? Did the wind blow? Did the Hand in Hand sail away, taking John Murray on it? What do you think? Well, no wind blew and no ship sailed. And John Murray preached on Sunday morning, September 30th, 1770. So that's a few years ago, isn't it? It's at least over 200 years or more. In the chapel Thomas Potter built for him many years before. And the Universalist message of the power of love was good news to many who heard. And it was good news for John. The winds of change blew yet again for John Murray. He now wanted to preach more than anything. And he did for many years and helped found Universalism in America. He is one of the ancestors of our faith and our faith home, and we, as Unitarians, owe a special thanks to Thomas Potter. It was his hospitality that brought John Murray back to the pulpit. And the pulpit is where you stand to say all the important things as a reverend of service if you're preaching, where you're standing in the church. And we also owe a special thanks to the wind that blew him in and would not blow him out. What a cool story is that? I love that story. Obviously it's really important because it talks about Unitarianism. But it was quite a strong thing, wasn't it, to say, I've been waiting for you and you're the person I've been waiting for. And that he really felt a strong conviction that someone would come to the shores of where he lived and be that person that he needed for building a chapel that he'd already built, but no one was preaching in. He felt confident that his story was his own life story, and his reason for the things he did would throw beautiful coincidences his way, and the synchronicity would make it possible for John Murray to arrive on his boat. But John Murray wasn't so sure, was he? Because all those things had happened. Can you remember at the beginning of the story? He felt like everything was in place, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And he kind of had to start a new chapter of his life. And he was really brave in kind of going back to what he thought he wasn't sure about. And I love that story. And I could imagine it would just be maybe the same today as it was all those years ago. So I haven't had many illustrations for the story, but I have got a colouring sheet which I have sent your parents a PDF of. So hopefully if you have a printer, you can print it off. And if you can't, at least you can get it on the screen. I'll show it for you now. And it gives you a good idea of what that would have looked like and the kind of boat that he would have been on. And letting nature take its course with the idea of whether the wind blows or not. So we'll have lots of stories this summer, and you'll have to write in and tell me maybe some of the stories you've heard in chapel, ones you might want again, but there's plenty here to look at and lots of wonderful characters to learn about. So I can't wait to share some of those with you. Can I also say a huge thank you to Isaac for his beautiful butterfly painting from last week. It's beautiful. Let's show it up here on the screen. Thank you so much, Isaac. I can just imagine your lovely butterfly going and finding its very first flower to drink from. It's wonderful. I hope you had fun. Thanks for sharing. I hope you enjoyed the story. And I hope you enjoyed the colouring in sheet. If you managed to get hold of it, I'd love to see how you coloured it in. Yeah, don't forget the picnic date. I think I got it wrong in last week's video, and Danny, who kindly edits these videos, put it right, but it's Saturday, the 22nd of May at 11 o'clock. So please, if you're free and you can come to the location, which I can send you details of, it's very near chapel. It will all be COVID safe. You can bring your own food and we'll be socially distanced, and it will be so nice to see you. So do get in touch and let me know if you can come to that. Okay, let's say the closing words. As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness that we learn about the winds of change light our hearts until we return. To blow it out with me. Bye for now. Have a really special bank holiday. Sunday and Monday. Bye for now. Bye.
Bright lights, bright lights.